Hey everyone, and welcome to the banner review for the Lunar New Year event with Shui-Yu. So first of all, Happy New Year to all the Chinese viewers, or I should say probably Asian viewers, because I know for a fact that many Asian countries, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, etc., they actually celebrate Chinese New Year. So yeah, Happy New Year to all the Asian fans, my channel. So, Shuyu, right? She is quite something, I would say. And if you were to ask me right before the video, should I pull? I would say, I'm not sure. It's complicated, right? And we will get to why it's complicated in a second. We don't have any NVA units, so this is still not going to be a short video because I thought of myself. You see my pull video yesterday, hopefully. I pulled first, so I found a new way to present you some applications of Shui-Yu, and you will see how I'm going to tackle this. And I've also changed a little bit on the layout so we waste less time doing the same things all over again, right? So in her base form, Shui-Yu is a CWA, Chaos Wave Awakened, and Bolting Strike Mage and Supporter, although the support capabilities in her base form are rather low-ish, but I'll get to that later. And she's magic based. In her Brave Shift, she's a healer, first and foremost, and an LB finisher on a second basis, which is all spirit based. So let's check out her abilities. I might actually skip this slide for future references because I'll be showing off the unit anyway. So one of the key things I'd like to mention over here is that you should look at the passives. We'll get to the active side of things later. On her passive side, you actually have to equip either her Trust Master or her Super Trust Master to gain 100 equipment magic from gearing. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time gearing her for 400 true double hand magic and especially true double hand spirit in her shift, as she only has 100 base without her Trust Master, Super Trust Master equipped. And she also only has 50% LB increase in her base. So trying to make her LB work in the base form is kind of tough if you want to also max out killers, for example. And you will see why that is. But rest assured, her LB, on this slide as you can see, it hits technically pretty hard. It's 70% water magic damage with 50% spirit ignore to all enemies. It also imperils by 120, but you got that already. And I just want to mention the LB finisher, just from pure numbers, is higher than Ibarra's Brave Shift LB. It has less dark damage, it has the same amount of spirit ignore, but since Ibarra's LB is bugged, Ibarra's LB is probably going to hit harder than Shui-Yu's LB. But still, do not sleep on that LB. It is very powerful, but making this LB work at 50% base, it's a tough call. Her Brave Shift, as you can see, she's got a lot of healing and supporting capabilities. And again, I'd rather have you focus on the passive side of things. From equipping her Trust Master or Super Trust Master, she only gains 100 true double hand spirit. From my point of view, this is a huge oversight on Gumi's part. They should have given her 200 flat SPR true double hand, full stop. And I don't know why Gumi thinks 100% is enough when we do not have enough true double hand spirit equipment or materia for that matter. I don't know, are they too afraid to make a spirit unit good? I don't know. I think it's a stupid idea unless they have huge plans for the fan design units to give them super good true double hand spirit, but until they are out, Shui-Yu is already irrelevant, so I don't know what the deal is with all of the true double hand spirit or true dual spirit has the same issue, to be honest. But other than that, she has 200 base LB. If you equip her Trust Master, Super Trust Master, that is. One is 100 you're getting from Purifying Stagnant Waters over here. One is 50% from Trust Master, Super Trust Master, and the other one from Lotus Dew's Grace. So that isn't that bad. But again, she's super hard to gear for LB and killers and true double hand spirit. It's just too much to ask for. And if you have like the latest trial bosses, dual race, it's absolutely impossible to make her work for these as an LB finisher, that is. As a magic finisher, or magic chainer, it's much easier to make her work than an LB finisher against a dual race boss. That's never gonna work out. We have way better options for that. So her Brave Shifted LB has an incredibly high modifier. It also, before it hits, increases LB damage by 250 and then hits with a little bit of wind up at 250 water magic damage. The highest in the game, but my assumption is that this is to compensate the lack of true double hand spirit. And if they knew about this from the get-go, why make this ability hit so hard when it's not enough to compensate for the lack of true double hand spirit? I'd rather have 200 base true double hand spirit than 250 LB modifier. I'd rather have 150 LB modifier and 200 true double hand spirit from the get-go. That would be roughly the same if I'm not mistaken, and it would be so much better. But oh well, it is what it is. Yeah, let's check out her Trust Master and Super Trust Master. Trust Master is a materia that provides 20 magic and spirit, unconditional, 20 magic if you're wearing a rod, and 20 if you're wearing a staff. So it's only either or pretty much. And it's also 30 water and fire resistance without any restriction. So the material itself is quite okay-ish with very little use for herself unless you cannot use her STMR for whatever reason. I do have a point in case where you cannot use her Super Trust Master, where you're actually locked to using her Trust Master. You will see that in a second. And the issue I'm having with her Trust Master is that it fights for materia slots with killers and LB damage increase. So if you don't have to use it, that's the best one. It may be good for other mages, especially since Water Fire is quite handy for Dark Visions. If the final boss, for example, has fire-water resist or requires you to have 30 fire-water resistance, this material isn't that bad, to be honest, especially on a mage. And yeah, like I said, it's best used on others for Dark Visions or Elemental Tetris fights where you really need a lot of Elemental Tetris, right? For example, FaZe could use this. My FaZe always uses a staff, so she'd have a 40 spirit from the Trust Master and an additional 30 water and fire resistance, but if I'm not mistaken, there's way better STMRs for that as well. So yeah, all in all, not the best. And her Super Trust Master is a two-handed staff. No, it's a rod, I believe. It's a rod. Yeah, I believe it's a rod. And it has 183 magic, 140 spirit, and 50 equipment spirit true double hand. So technically speaking, it's only good on herself as of right now. The true double hand spirit that she gains is good, but too little. I'd love 100% or 75. I would have been very happy about 75 or 100. Again, 50%, I think it's an oversight. It's just too little. Still, I want to reiterate on that. It is a stupid idea to release a unit fully trying to use true double hand spirit, but not give us the necessary tools to max out true double hand spirit. I do not see a single issue in this game with a unit having more than 5k or 4k spirit. There's absolutely no downside. Lower her LB modifiers and it's all good. Lower her LB to 150 and let us cap out true double hand spirit. I'm telling you, this won't make a difference. The only thing that makes her is a good LB finisher that is on par with, say, I don't know, last gen, for example, when he's attacking dragons, for example. She'd be a perfectly good LB finisher with 400 true double hand spirit and a 125, so half of now, or 150 modifier limit burst in brave. But well, enough of that. Yeah, the rod is better for her base form than her shift form, but it's absolutely necessary. You have to use this STMR in her brave shift, or else she's not working properly. And that is a huge issue. She's locked in with way too many things in her brave shift. And you will see what I mean with that in just a minute. But before that, let's check out her vision card. Her vision card, I love the animation, I love the artwork, it's super cool. At level 1, 50 base magic, 50 base spirit. At level 10, 75 base magic and spirit. It's a strict upgrade to, say, Aerith's STMR. Aerith's vision card. Aerith's vision card is only 65, and Aerith's vision card is also, I believe it's only 20% on both, but I might be mistaken. But her passive's 25% magic spirit with the rod, plus level 4 and 7. And at level 10, it's 20% all resistance for FFBE units only. So, not having staffs, I feel like, on the passives, it is another huge oversight. And again, it has better stats than Aerith's vision card. But yeah, only 50% magic and or spirit is a little bit too little these days. I feel like it should have been either 75 or 100. We've got Assault's vision card, 100 magic, for example, or let's say, I believe the latest attack units also had some pretty decent magic or attack vision cards. So, that is, in one word. The card is pretty decent for dark visions, as it has 20% all resistance. So it might see some use for elemental treacherous bosses, but that's all about it. And if you're using Shui-Yu, for example, as a chainer, you really want to use Ibarra's vision card. Or if you're using her brave shifted LB, you want to use Yoshikiri's vision card. She herself will probably never use this vision card, which is kind of sad. I like the animation. It's a super, super cute vision card and looks plain awesome. Okay, so now here's one of the changes I'm making for every unit I have. I will show you an actual video of how to use the unit and go through all the abilities. So let's enjoy that, and I'll see you back on these slides in a few minutes. Okay, so Shui-Yu, as you can see, I currently just built her for a Behemoth trial, for example, with Beast and Dragon. It is hard to dual race equip her because she's super locked to her natural let's start from again. It's super hard to gear her for 2 types of killers just because she has a lot of gear that is absolutely locked in and that you cannot change. That applies for the most part to her brave shift. So you are set on using 7th Nirvana as it provides 50% spirit through dual hand. You cannot not use this. You have to. What you also have to use for the most cases is Aerith's. Well, you don't have to use Aerith's Clothes, but it is, if I'm not mistaken, the highest SPR. No, Yuna's Clothes is the best. I stand corrected. Yuna's Clothes is better for for spirit. But it's only 8%, and Aerith's Clothes is also pretty much best in slot for her due to it providing a 50% true dual hand magic for her base form. Now I'm using Eurasia's Pin over here. Technically you want to use Phasey's STMR with 100 and 2 Spirit. Double Aerith's Joker. As long as the builder isn't updated, I believe Aerith's Joker in both slots is best in slot for her. Now I've tried changing Aerith's Joker to lovely Katie's, I believe STMR or Trustmaster, I'm not quite sure which one it is. That is the golden earrings, which provide 30% true double hand spirit. It's 30%, but from what I've seen, if you remove Aerith's Joker for the golden earrings, you're actually losing spirit. So it might be also the case because you're losing on a 60% spirit boost. I cannot make up for it from other means. So meaning losing on one's Aerith's Joker, I think this is a bad one. Now her gearing has, or her abilities have technically 3 absolutely set spots. Grim Brilliance, you have to use that for 50% true dual hand, true double hand spirit. You have to use Guardian of Light Sora for the 75% LB boost. And technically, if you have it, you have to use Yoshikiri's STMR for another true double hand spirit. I don't have Yoshikiri's STMR. I never thought it'd be that good. And it's only good for her too, to be honest. And with 3 materials already locked in that you should not change at any cost, you only have space for 1 more materia. And if you were to fight a dual race boss, I don't think Shui-Yu is a good choice, especially not as a LB finisher. For example, unless you want her to use for training, that is perfectly fine. As you will see in my Asura trial video, which I'll upload soon-ish, hopefully. But for example, bosses like Behemoth, where you really want to squeeze out as much damage as quickly as possible via LBs, I don't think Shui-Yu is cutting it. With 3 out of 4 materia slots locked in to just maximizing true double hand spirit, that's not gonna work. And there's not even closely enough killer materia that would get her up to 300 on 1 of it. I can maximize 1 killer to 300, that's not an issue at all, but not 2, that is not going to happen. And the vision card is also set to Yoshikiri's vision card at level 10, it's another 25% true double hand spirit. So yeah, her Brave Shift form is kind of lacking, as you can see, while her base form, that one is more flexible. As you can see, I'm using Rod of Behemoth for this one. Again, prime example would be you're fighting a dragon monster, right? So 75% dragon killer, magical. You're quite flexible on the accessories, on the head or body piece. The body piece, I would still wager you'd use Aerith's Clothes for the 50% true double hand. And if you're not using her Super Trustmaster, you kind of have to use Reflective Waters, her own Trustmaster, because her special Trust passive is 100% true double hand magic. So that is kind of important, you really want that. And I'm also using Azure Radiance, that is Starlight Elena's STMR. It aligns perfectly, as you can see, 400 magic from equipment and 400 out of 400 true double hand magic. And you've got 2 more slots for basically any material you want, and that should be good. Now if you're only after chaining and don't want to use her as an LB finisher, you could use Ibarra's vision card for another 50% true double hand magic, and you could swap out Aerith's Clothes for, say, Wizardess Shantoto's STMR, I believe it is. There is the Minister's Code is the name. I know only the name, I don't know whose STMR that is, but that's a good option as well. And if you were to use Ibarra's vision card, for example, change Aerith's Clothes away, you would easily reach, or my Shui-Yu easily reaches 5.3k magic points. And she's a force that you have to reckon with if you're going for training. She is super strong when it comes to training abilities. So for this example, she is at 275 dragon, and I'm fairly sure I would get her to 300 if I wanted to. But I tried this for Behemoth, but Behemoth wasn't a good example. I do have an attempt at Behemoth, and I found out, yeah, this doesn't work, and it wouldn't showcase her well because Behemoth is double race. But we're getting a few more trials that are A, weak to water, and B, single race. And Shui-Yu is perfect for that. Unless you want to use Melo or Mero, I don't know, the Japanese name leads Mero, but the Japanese, they don't have the L, they use R for everything, or Ro instead of Lo, for example. So we'll see whether it's Mero or Melo, we'll see. But he or she, I don't know the gender of Mero, is another water DPSer. So anyway, how you want to use Shui-Yu. So if you're using her for training, you want to start off with Blooming Lian Hua Arts, which is a boost to 300 magic and spirit by 300% and 200 for the party to both, and it also enables quad cast. It also fills her LB gauge, which is pretty good, as you can see. Next up is Lotus Retribution. That one imperils all enemies by 122 water, and it provides her own 25% water amplification. The order doesn't really matter. You know, just imagine you have a boss that is that constantly uses some form of status ailment. Say, the boss reduces your attack, defense, magic, and spirit on a, let's say, 3-turn basis. You could actually remove this from the entire party via Shui-Yu. You don't, unless you have immunities to that from your supporter or healer, but if you're not using a healer, Shui-Yu is your goal. She can remove this as well, which is quite handy. And I'd wager Shui-Yu's strength is that you could technically remove a healer from your team if you don't really need it, because in her Brave Shift form she can technically heal very well and also LB damage, but the LB side of things I'd sideline that for the time being. What I also like about Shui-Yu is Seasonal Drought. That one is a perfect dispel for the enemy, and it also imperils all elements. It's only 110 for 2 turns. However, keep in mind the only one who is an all imperil with 130 is Kryler, and Kryler also imperils your own team, which is a huge downside. From my point of view, Shui-Yu has the better one here. It's perfect dispel and 110 imperil to all. Okay. And anyway, the rotation pretty much is then Merciless Waterfall to have it started off right off the get-go. And yeah, what the others do doesn't really matter for this showcase. Let me just show you. Sadly, I don't have a second LB or CVA chainer right now, so... But you will see her her strength in my Asura video, or I think I will just showcase her strength briefly after I'm doing this little video here and give you a sneak peek of how much damage she can deal when chaining Merciless Waters. Okay, so her Brave Shift form, again, I like the sprite very much. So her Brave Shift form, right? Sacred Torrent is her 250 modifier water elemental damage. Super high modifier. Before she hits, she also increases her LB damage by 250, which is quite nice. But let's focus a second on her stuff that she can do for the team, right? Because I just very briefly went through all of this in the previous slides of the video. So Lotus Retribution we already know. There's also Lotus Rebirth, where she revives all allies with max HP, and all the other ones, they are cured of Stop and Charm, which is cool. It also attacks the boss, but it's only a 30x modifier, so nothing too serious. She can heal and restore MP for the team. Lotus Peril Wall is awesome. It is a 55 general mitigation for the team for 3 turns. If you're phasey, for example, cannot use, say, a splash fight for whatever reason, or your other tank, we got that covered, right? And it also provides a 6k barrier on the very next turn to everyone. Another huge perk of Shui-Yu, because 6k barriers, they are quite rare, and 6k barrier is very good. She also has River of Benevolence, 60 MP, and her own 6k barrier. I don't know why it's only for herself. I find that to be quite lacking. It would be better for the team. But then again, 60 MP refresh and 6k barrier for the whole party might be a little bit overpowered. We've then got one of the weirdest abilities, Healing Stream, which is a randomification. A 50% chance that you have the lowest amount of heal. Base to 2000, and it varies with magic and spirit. Then you've got a 40% chance at a decent heal with 3k base, and again modified by magic and spirit. Variation per turn is 600%. That might heal a lot. And you've got the lottery, the winning lottery ticket at 10% for the best heal possible, and it's very likely that she will heal most of the team to full from 1 HP. Even someone like FaZe who can easily reach, or Gabranth who can easily reach 40k HP. Alright, Revitalizing Waters, Auto Revive, Auto Cure for most of the stuff, and Yanhua Salvation, 300 Spirit Boost, 8k barrier. It's only a one-time use though, keep that in mind. 8k barriers for everyone. Everyone gets Stop and Charm immunity for 5 turns, and it also deals a fair amount of damage. Yeah, that's all her abilities, and what's really to be said about her LB is that it takes a few seconds to wind up. So please keep that in mind, that her LB is not instant. I would have liked it to be instant, such as Tifa or last gen, but it's not. So don't forget about it. So what you want to do is send Shui-Yu in first and then everyone else immediately. Yeah, that one hit. So if you do it like this, you will hit the target, but don't wait for the modifier to go up first, because that's going to ruin her LB. Okay, so how much damage was this? That's 3, 6, 1.8 billion, if I'm not mistaken, right? 3, 6, 9, yeah, 1.8 billion. It hits hard, but again, this is a test dummy, and bosses have usually a lot more defense spirit, and against something like Asura or Behemoth, both being dual race, she will hit considerably less hard. But against something like single race boss, she's going to be very strong, I believe. Even with her gimped limit burst because of the true double hand issue, she's going to be quite good at it. Okay, and here's a sneak peek of the Asura trial that you will see tomorrow. Let's do this. 57 at start. Yeah, we dealt 10%. That is okay. I hope you enjoyed the little showcase of Shui-Yu. So let's ask ourselves, how does she fare in the meta, right? So DPS wise, as you've seen from the little sneak peek of the Asura trial, she is super strong when it comes to chaining. And technically speaking, she's the strongest sustained magic DPS we have, and she eclipses everyone by a huge margin. The greater 20% might not apply to Dark Fiend and Soul, but it's very close to 20%. If I'm not mistaken, Dark Fiend and Soul are only 18 to 70% weaker than Shui-Yu when it comes to sustained magic damage. But everyone else just pales in comparison when it comes to chaining. So she's super strong for that. However, as you've seen, she suffers a lot from the scarcity of True Double Hand Spirit. She has absolutely no killer buffs for herself or the party, which is, again, I don't like it. It gimps her otherwise really good toolkit a little bit more. But yeah, she has a super strong STMR. It's pretty much must have, especially for herself. The 25% water amplify on demand, it's not tied to a cooldown, and that is the most important part here. For example, with last gen, they have, I believe, 30% fire ice amplifier, but it takes off half their LB gauge, which is a huge downside to all of this. And Shui-Yu she presses a button, no downside attached to it, and she gains 25 water amp and also imperils 120 water to the enemy. No cooldown whatsoever. That is really good. And yeah, regarding her Brave Shift, I feel like it's super strong, but it's still lacking compared to Ibarra's, especially the whole gearing side of things, right? Gearing Ibarra in her Brave Shift is no easy feat. You need external LB buffs. But on the other hand, Shui-Yu, she just suffers from the True Double Hand Spirit scarcity. And I feel like Shui-Yu could have been so much better with better True Double Hand Spirit passives, and she would eclipse Ibarra and maybe get almost on level with Terra if they just made her right. I mean, Terra, we all have to consider that if you adjust her LB or evoke damage for killers, Terra isn't that much of a force anymore. But again, the reality, we all know the reality, and Terra is just way overboard. Anyway, the conclusion, how she fares in the meta, she is a super powerful magic damage dealer in base with huge sustained damage dealer. In fact, she is the strongest one. But on the other hand, Spirit True Double Hand Scarcity makes her Brave Shift rather underwhelming. And I do want to point out there's only only two magic DPS that are stronger than Shui-Yu. And those are Fares and Lunar Freya. You might count in Melo or Mero, but I don't think this. I believe the comparison between Shui-Yu and Mero or Melo is going to be a very close one. I know for sure Fares and Lunar Freya are stronger, but they are evoker damage dealers, so who else is to compete with them, right? So that begs the question, should you pull? And again, it's complicated, like I said at the beginning of the video. Are you looking for a super strong mage with high sustained damage? Shui-Yu is your best pick here. And even for the foreseeable future, unless you plan going for Fares, who only outdamages Shui-Yu when you consider using her evoke finisher. Pure chaining, Fares and also Terra, mind you, they pale in comparison to Shui-Yu. That's how good her chaining capabilities are. However, like bullet point 2 says, if you're looking for a high burst damage mage, Shui-Yu is not for you. Terra is still around. We will get Mero, we will get Fares, we will get Lunar Freya. Well, I shouldn't consider Lunar Freya in this list, but Fares and Mero might be quite soon. I would say both are a few weeks to a month away. Lunar Freya, I'm not expecting her until late April at the earliest, to be honest. So saying soon on Lunar Freya is kind of a stretch here. But again, Terra still around. We get Melo. Mero is the next story event, so that is very likely at the beginning of March. So yeah, and Faris is soon after that. And again, if you want high burst damage, pick Terra, and you're good to go. Or Ibarra, for that matter. Ibarra also bursts higher than Shui-Yu. Now, she's also a really good support in Brave. However, keep in mind, with all of this, she is a one-trick pony as she's completely locked to water. You will not regret pulling because she's certainly not a must-have. She's certainly not a must-have, and Faris is around the corner. So, and marginally better, ignoring that she's an evoker. And pulling for her, you will really not regret it. She's a super capable damage dealer for trials. Maybe not so much for Dark Visions, but if you want to do trials faster and more safely, Shui-Yu is really good. So in conclusion, the star of the banner is Shui-Yu's strong, super high magic damage per turn, DPT. And I mean, I know most of you picked a good option here, and that is, I should also call this a very good option. It's just saving for Faris, Luna Freya, or Melo. Or many of you are probably also saving up for the FMA collab, which is due in March. I would suggest it's March, but we'll talk about that in 2 weeks when we do the March outlook. So yeah, that concludes the Shui-Yu banner review. Again, she's complicated. Skipping her is fair game. Pulling for her like I did is also fair game. It's actually up to you what you do. So thank you all for watching. I hope this helped to put things in place on how good Shui-Yu is or where she's lacking. And we'll see each other tomorrow again for the full video of my Shui-Yu Asura clear. It's a super fun clear. I have this fight down, so I can use this as a benchmark for new DPS. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this new format. Please consider commenting. I'd be really happy if you commented on the new format where I actually show off the unit, if I own the unit, by the way. If you like that, please tell me in the comments. Or if you don't like it or want things change, I'm open to suggestions. So yeah, thank you all for watching and see you in the next one.